Glad you could join us now. Let's take the details. More than 3,000 people in 6 districts in the northern region are in need of emergency services following devastating rainstorms that have displaced them. This is according to officials of the National Disaster Management Organization, NADMO, in the region. Now, for 2 weeks, the rains have wreaked havoc on districts and municipalities such as Kpandai, Nanumba North, Bole, Tamale, Zabzugu, and East Mamprosi, among others. Victims, including pregnant women and children, are sleeping in the open. In other areas, school children are studying in the open after the roofing of their classrooms were ripped off. Joy News' Hashmin Mohammed visited some affected communities to find out how the victims are coping.
Communities hard hit by the rainstorm include Gorlanyele, Gorkukani, Kupalgu, Belindo, Nakpali, Mbebudo, among others. About 152 houses and 3 churches in the villages were also completely damaged after the rainstorm ripped off the roofing of the houses and in some cases totally razing them to the ground. 4 schools, namely Kupalgu DA, Gorlanyele DA, Gorkukani DA and Rajia primary schools were all also ravaged in the rainstorm. Affected persons of the rainstorm have been sharing their frustrations with Joy News.
All my produce, maize and other cooking utensils has been destroyed. And even my zincs, and then you can see zincs and other boards, the roofing distance, they are all bent, just collapsed. I'm appealing to NADMO to come to our aid. If not, we don't have anything. And you know, this very year is very bad, and we are handicapped. We don't have anything
to sleep because the whole house is now removed, where we don't have where to sleep again.
So if you say you don't...
I've been sleeping outside. When rain comes, meaning that will be beaten by the rain. We don't have any place to sleep. Yield from our farms. So if we didn't get any help from any place at all, Master, we are stranded. We will not be able to roof this house.
It's really bad because it has spoiled so many things, especially we the students, those are in JSS and primary. It has spoiled a lot of things. There are exercise books like this, school attire, whatever. It has spoiled so many things and carry some of the things away. So we are in trouble right now.
Officials of the National Disaster Management Organization says they have begun the registration of the victims to liaise with their superiors for support. Nana Noho is the Zabzugu District NADMO coordinator.
To see how best we can restore them, because the way and manner things has happened, the disaster hit the communities. It calls for worry. It caused worry, and so therefore we are yet to liaise with the assembly and see how best we can restore them.
Now, District Chief Executive for Zabzugu, Ahmed Abubakar Idrisu, who has been touring around the affected communities, tells Joy News he is overwhelmed by the extent of devastation.
High schools affected primarily and then 1 GHS. As far as the educational sector is concerned, there is no luxury of time for us to do. So what we are to do as an assembly currently is to look at the contingency aspect of our budget to see whether we can provide certain corrugated iron sheet in order to ensure that the place is rectified and then brought back to normalcy so that teaching and learning could go on. On the aspect of the population or those who are hit by that, you remember that when we went, some of them were putting up outside on the open space, not even with natives, because those natives that they should have actually sought shelter, they are also deeply affected. For that matter, they had to only make do in sleeping in the open space. That is why the government to this particular plight, Assembly can do but little. So we calling on the central government to actually assist us in that direction. When that one is done quickly, then life will be brought back to normalcy. Farming activities will also resume. Remember that this is the time that farmers begin.
From Zabzugu, this is Hashmin Mohammed reporting for Joy News.
Hashmin now joins us on the phone with an update. Hashmin, what has NADMO been able to do in assisting these victims so far?
Well, NADMO have begun the registration of the victims, but says they can see little until support comes from their headquarters in Accra. And they have put, according to them, they have put up a report together and they have since submitted to schools, waiting for the National Disaster Management Organization to respond. But I've just picked information from the Zabzugu district itself that the council are in an emergency meeting to be able to respond to the plight of the victims, especially the children, because they do not want a situation where education programs be involved in the affected community.
Hashmin, you remember last year Operation Thunderbolt was launched by NADMO, where in anticipation of the spilling of the Bagri Dam in Burkina Faso, some extra offices were set up in the northern part of Ghana and some more resources were taken there. Are any of these resources still available? What is NADMO telling you about that operation?
Well, NADMO itself in the region appears not to be having enough information in terms of the operations of the organization. Because virtually anything you ask them, they want to direct that information just in Accra, and that has been the challenge at the moment in terms of information from them.
What about these victims? How are they coping?
These victims continue to sleep in the open, and then some who have little resources are trying to roof their houses, but there are still a significant number of the people who are still unable to roof their houses. And in some cases, some people have had their home completely razed to the ground and reconstructed all over. And they are saying that because of the global climate change, the weather pattern has not been favorable for them in terms of the food they have got from their farm.
Right. Right, Hashmin, thank you very much for that report. Now, the northern region or the northern part of Ghana is not the only place where these rainstorms have been ravaging, because one person is confirmed dead whilst others have been left with various injuries in a drowning incident at Abuakwa near Kumasi following a heavy rainfall there last Friday. A 14-year-old boy who died was among a group of people who attempted to cross over a bridge over a stream when they were swept away by the running water. Residents are angry at authorities for failing to fix the bridge, which has been in poor condition for a long time. Nana Sensumenza has been following up on the tragic incident and filed this report.
The body of the teenager was found on the banks of the Suabua River early Saturday as search continues for 4 missing persons. One of the survivors, who wants to remain anonymously, said he escaped by divine intervention.
It was about 5:30 on my way going home, and we saw the flood was so heavily. So due to that, it pushed us into the river. But suddenly, I was able to survive. I got hold of something, and I climbed it, and I was able to survive. But the rest, I don't know where they are right now.
How many were you that time?
About 13 or 12 people at that time.
So how many people were able to escape the flood?
About 8 people were able to escape the flood. 8 people were able to escape the flood, but the rest, I don't know where they are right now.
Residents want the collapsed bridge and the bad road fixed.
So as soon as it rains, you know that all the tributaries join the main river, and day in and day out we have been experiencing flooding all over this particular place. And as a matter of fact, our plight is that we have 2 major schools over this particular place, and our residents are also here. So as soon as it rains, you see that maybe 1 hour before it had rained, you see that maybe there's flooding all over the place. So if you're a resident, like, you cannot cross the river. If you're also living outside the other part of the river, you cannot also cross. This has been our major problem.
Municipal Coordinator for NADMO, James Tekwapon, stands by residents in their agitation.
Now we are suggesting to the Assembly that all the broken bridges, some of the bridges are weak. So they have to repair them and rebuild new ones for them to lift up. We need a big drainage.
Achimang Obiaja Municipal Chief Executive Michael Awuku assures of immediate measures to fix the situation.
So we have taken a lot of steps. Assurances have been given. And we have spoken to the contractor, and he assures us that plans are far advanced for him to be facilitated to get back to site. So that is what we are expecting.
Reporting for Joy News, Nana Asensu Mensah.
You're still watching Joy News today. We understand there's an important update to this story, and we'll be bringing it to you as and when the bulletin progresses. But first, the Chamber for Petroleum Consumers has described a press conference held last week by the bulk oil storage and transportation company BOST to respond to corruption allegations in connection with the sale of crude oil as the most ridiculous excuse ever. Speaking at a news conference to respond to issues raised by BOST, Executive Secretary of COPEC, Duncan Amwa, said the company only insulted the intelligence of the consumer by attempting to confuse the issues.
This is our response to them. Crude transactions all over the world are simply done using benchmarks, and cannot be the case that those selling outside Rotterdam will always have to provide discounts, even if their ancillary charges make it unreasonable to do so. In any case, even if discounts are applicable in crude oil transactions, the factors that account for such discounts do not play out in this particular BOST transaction, which was in tank, not FOB. It's not on any board. It's in tank. Crude, secured crude in tank, has been sold as though it is being put aboard a vessel to be carried to wherever, and for which we need to give the buyer some relief. Indeed, BOST have been caught flank-footed. They better come again. Excused by BOST, the fifth one, note that to avoid this misunderstanding, most transactions are done in CIF, which is the case when you are buying aboard a vessel. But remember, BOST does not have its own ship or vessel, unlike most of the international traders who own their ships or vessel. And this is what our explanation is. Indeed, BOST itself is not licensed to even trade in crude. BOST itself is not licensed to trade in crude, but the downstream industry regulator, the National Petroleum Authority, to engage in crude trading or the transportation, exportation, and sale of crude. So if you recall, BOST brings in finished products.
Now, he insists the special prosecutor must look into the matter.
We are interested in how much the state could have made, how much has been thrown away, and who caused all of that, what the motivation could have been. Is it that they are friends for which they needed to just transact and make money? Is it that somebody needs to make money for which we have to sell Ghana's crude, 10 oil fields crude, at a Donkomi price? Those are questions we are further asking. BOST has sought to say that our accusations or our issues were baseless. Of all the issues we raised, one about the sale, they haven't denied it. They only contest the numbers and say that it's not 1.8, it's 942,000. We are saying that our records point to 1.8 million barrels at all. BOST has suggested it traded off some of the barrels with AOT. That transaction, we are also interested. At what rate did they sell to AOT? Was it the same Donkomi value? Or for that transaction, Ghana realized market value for that transaction? We are also saying that there was some illegality occasioned, and it thus came as no surprise when Mr. Abdul Malik Kwekubakon pointed out that his documents could confirm that BB Energy was applying to NPA in December. check the dates. It bought the crude in September, October, November. In December, it was asking for permits. The permits that BOST says BB Energy doesn't need, BB was applying to get it from MPA, and it has been declined. The illegality is still there. We discussed a $2 discount, which they have not been able to refute, except to say that they could have sold it even for a worse figure, -5. And so because they didn't sell for -5, they sold for -2. We should clap for BOST. And that BOST has saved us 2.8 million. Barca didn't score Chelsea 10. So Chelsea should be very happy that 7 goals at least were retained somewhere. I'm sure Chelsea will be in the semi-finals by now. This is the sort of ridiculous explanations they put on paper and write English to cover up. We are referring this matter immediately after this press conference to the Office of the Special Prosecutor for further investigation and prosecution of these officials if indeed whatever the motivation was anything but the interest of Ghana.
Still watching Joy News today, I am Daniel. That's the stories we've done so far. Over 3,000 people in the northern region of the country are in dire need of emergency services after continuous devastating rains left them homeless and without food. And up ahead in the bulletin, in case you missed out on the exhilarating tour to Mount Afadja over the weekend, Joy News' Nancy Afadja has all the fun and thrilling moments to share with you, so you may consider your decision next time the opportunity comes. Stay with us. We'll be back after these important messages. Thanks for staying with us. Now, the coalition demanding the passage of the Right to Information Bill into law has hit the streets with their campaign to get the bill laid before Parliament rises on 23rd March. The campaigners Monday morning distributed flyers and sensitized the public at vantage points of Accra to raise awareness about the need for the passage of the bill. They say they will be forced to demonstrate if Parliament fails to heed their demand on considering the bill before they go on recess. Maxwell Abuakwa was with the group on the High Street and Nima and now reports.
Another group is also here trying to preach the message and also put in, pressure on government to actually lay the RTI bill and then subsequently pass the bill into law. I have with me here a member of the coalition of Right to Information here with me, Bright. So he's going to tell me how the advocacy is going on here at Nima. Bright, you're welcome to join us.
Thank you very much.
Bright, tell us, how is the process going, here at Nima?
So what we're doing today is we're showing a lot of flyers to citizens as the traffic stops while they're in their cars. As you are aware, the President made a promise that we'll have this thing, bill in Parliament in 10 days. It takes a lot of work to actually get these things done. If you look at the history of the Right to Information Parliament, we've had promises that were not fulfilled over the years. So this time we're trying to really gather momentum and take on the President on his word and have this thing passed. So what we're trying to do is actually get citizens to also support what we are doing. And to be able to get their support, we need to let them understand the issues. So we came here with a flyer with a bit of information. We'll be sharing to citizens to help them appreciate the issues that we are calling for. So that when they understand the issue, they can also, put their support in. We're also able to get the Right Information Law passed.
So far, what has been the feedback you're getting from the populace? from the people using the stretch?
I think the good thing is that a lot of people are very much aware of the Right to Information Bill. So people say, Right to Information. So there's some recognition as to what is going on. Some seem to actually understand what is it. But some also, you actually need to, explain to me a bit what you are calling for. Somebody was sort of missing that with Galamsey. So you need to explain what you are calling for, what the implications are, what the benefit is going to be for every citizen in this country for accountability. So I think it's been, taken in well. We also hope that as the days go on, it will be just the voice of the coalition. But other citizens will also, put in their part to say that this is something we think will be really beneficial for this nation. This is something we want our lawmakers to pass.
So how hopeful are you that it's going to be laid before Parliament? Parliament is rising on Friday, 23rd. You gave them an ultimatum, 10-day ultimatum. That is going to lapse on Friday. How hopeful are you?
Well, since Nana Addo Dankwa's government, the promises made to the civil society, I think we've seen
them coming to fruition bit by bit. The Special Prosecutor Bill, he said would be done last year, it was done. So from today to Friday, still a number of days. He's not yet, proving that he's not a man of his word. So we are still hoping that between now and Friday, this thing can get done, just as he said. And we continue to remind him that the deadline is Friday, and we hope we can see some action on Friday.
After all the advocacy, if you don't see any, positive response from government, what is going to happen?
Well, the president did last year institute a sort of a semi-annual meeting with him. So we are hoping this year also have that meeting first half of the year and then later half of the year. These are some of the issues we can raise in that meeting. That is the promise we made. It's not being fulfilled. So at the same time, as a coalition, we also need to go back and think what will be the next strategy for us, in continue to calling for this bill.
Okay.
Still watching Joy News today. Come with us now to a one-of-a-kind market. Ghana's fourth largest, built 3 years after the country's independence. It has been the hub for business at the heart of the Western region capital, Takoradi. In our series of stories celebrating Ghana Month, Joy News' Justice Bedu takes us on a tour of the market circle in the following report.
This monument is one of a kind. The largest market built in a runabout in the whole of West Africa. Built in 1960, trade activities here began to boom from the 70s. The people who started trading here were mainly the casual workers from the newly built Takoradi Harbour who wanted to work for an extra income. Esi Mensima, now in her 80s, is a second-generation trader here. Her mother, like many early settlers in Takoradi, came from the central region to take part in the economic boom created by the railways and the harbour construction of the 1920s.
I came here with my mother and I used to sell kontomire. But when my mother died, I had to continue her legacy. And so I started selling salted fish, which is what she sold.
It was run at the onset by the Sekondi Takoradi City Council, which has now become the Sekondi Takoradi Metropolitan Assembly.
This bustling market and the many people who troop in here daily to buy and sell goes to show the long history of business that this iconic city has held for such a long time.
Now, though, the story of Takoradi's market circle seems to be moving from grace to grass. Gutters inside the market are choked. Congestion has now forced many people outside the circle to hawk. The superstructure itself hasn't seen any major renovation work since construction, and that spells a bleak future for this edifice, says Mame Arabateria, also a second-generation trader here.
In the whole of West Africa, our market circle is unique. It is round and ideally, we should always have cars driving around it. But things have changed. Now we have congestion of human beings taking the place of cars. If there's an accident, it will be a disaster.
Like the harbour, the railways, electricity, which all began here in Sekondi Takoradi, the market circle is yet another gift from the West to Ghana. Justice Bedu, Joy News, Takoradi Market Circle.
Let's go to the other end of the country now, because we promised to bring you nothing but the very best. And that's exactly what we did. Energized by your superstation Joy 99.7 FM, dozens of listeners triumphed over the highest mountain in Ghana, Afadja, 885 meters above sea level. The Afadja climb is part of a series of events here at Multimedia to mark Ghana Month. Listen to a few of the climbers who joined the trip share their experience.
Volta Region Migbalo! It's finally here, the day we've all been waiting for to conquer Afadja. speaking, these are not some Vanda or Katanga Jama groups. We had to heat up ourselves for this journey. As soon as we got to Afadja, people were already ready to start. The film was high. But quickly, the tour guide warned that going 885 meters above sea level was not a journey for the faint-hearted.
Please, we go in gender balance. One man, because sometimes in some of the groups, the men, they leave the women behind.
But our patrons insisted, we are ready to conquer! Ayola. Well, let's fast forward.
She said I should go. Are we coming? She has given up. No. Boss, we have to go. Let's take her back. Let's go. No, I don't know.
Oh, let's go. Okay, so we've just done quarter of this whole journey. I'm tired. The soga was right. I feel like removing my shirt. But John Dumalo is here. John, how are you feeling after the first quarter?
Well, the energy is still there, as you can see. You climb small, you rest, but the reason why I'm here is because I'm waiting for everybody to come to the same level, then we move. You know, unity is key. But this is my third attempt. In fact, this is my third time trying to climb the mountain, and I hope I succeed the third time.
It should be easy for you.
Yes, but you see, I check I can say so I come. Okay. Easy. But are you coming? Let's go. They are coming, so let's go.
Okay, so let's do this. More of him. Averagely, it should take you 45 minutes to get to the top. Unfortunately, for some of us, we use 45 minutes to climb just a quarter of it, and it wasn't funny.
Oh, crazy. You gotta finish it.
I'm gonna try.
Others even gave up.
I reached the middle and I come back. It's very hard. I couldn't.
The rest conquered.
It's different, very different, and it's tiring. On your way up, you will probably swear never to do this again, but once you descend and you settle, you would want to come back.
But when we finally settled down, of Bledi welcomed us in grand style with some bobobo, some bananas, and fresh pito. First 2 trips down, and they were lit. Don't miss the next trip to the community on water at Nzulezu next weekend. Nancy, MFA, Dradosi, Joy News.
Definitely not a climb for the faint-hearted, but hopefully on Saturday we can sit down and take a leisurely stroll around in Nzulezu, the village on stilts. But it's now time to talk business with Emmanuel Afadja. Stay with us.